Hello guys, it's Lorell with Lorell Designs. Welcome to my craft room. I'm going to be using form, 14 inches form from your dollar store. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to use this and make it a very full, pretty wreath. Okay, so the first thing and the first step will be to put the pipe cleaners on our form, so we can make it full and beautiful. Okay, these are the pipe cleaners that I'm going to be using, and normally I will use 12 of them. Okay, so the way I wired my wire form is this actual wire form has 4 rails. These is what we call rails, right? Or I call them rails. So I have 4 rails, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 brackets. So I call brackets the one that run across or against the rails. Okay, each one of these circles or rings, I call them rails. So I have 4 rails and 6 brackets. Okay, so the way I put my pipe cleaners, I will let you know. I go from inward outwards, so I count. These will be rail number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. Okay, so counting here in the white area that might be a little bit more visible for you guys. So this will be rail number 1, this is rail number 2, this is rail number 3, this is rail number 4. Okay, so the way I put my pipe cleaners is I use, on the very first 2 rails, rail 1 and rail 2, I start right in the middle of the brackets. So I go underneath rail number 2 and rail number 1. I run my pipe cleaner. I bring them up and tight them as tight as I can. Okay, leaving my 2 long pipe cleaners like that. Okay, we're going to proceed. We're going to do the exact same thing all around it. Again, we grab our pipe cleaner, we run it underneath rail number 2 and rail number 1, make them the same height, and then we turn it and tie it. Okay, so we're going to repeat this step 6 times. I normally twist 3 or 4 times just to make sure that it stays in place. If you don't tie them tight enough, they will move around. These, see, I have a hard time moving them, and that's what I want. I want to make sure that they stay in place, so when I put my mesh, it's not moving around. Okay, now when you see the rails and you see the connection of both wires, you know, it's a whole wire and they need to connect somehow and solder it there. Be careful, because remember, these are dollar or $1.25 forms, so they're good, but if you tie them too tight, those, especially those solder part, when they put them together, is not very strong. Okay, so just be careful. So we're gonna put them again. This is my last inner ring. So I have my 6, and I lay it down like this because it's easier for me, just so it doesn't get tangled with my mesh. Now we're gonna go to the 2 outer rings. So ring number 3, ring number 4. Okay, so in this case, I don't want them to be aligned, because then my mesh, it's gonna leave a gap, right? So I want to use the brackets in this instance, right? So because I want it to be a mesh in here, a mesh on the top, a mesh down here, a mesh on the top, kind of in a zigzag pattern. So I'm going to be using ring number 3 and ring number 4, and I'm going to go with the pipe cleaner right in between the bracket. So ring number 3, under ring number 3, under ring number 4, diagonally with the bracket. Why? That's going to prevent my pipe cleaner to move around, right? So one end of my pipe cleaner, it's going to be on the right side of the bracket. The other one, it's going to be on the left side of the bracket, okay? Let me repeat the step here. Instead of going in the middle, we're going right in the bracket. We're going to go inside on the right side of number 3, coming out diagonally. I hope it's visible there. You guys can see it. You know what? Let me find something. Let me find a piece of paper. And that will give us a white background. And you will be able to see it a lot better. How about that? Okay. So, we have the bracket. We have row or rail number 3, rail number 4. We're going on one side of the bracket and on the other side of the bracket. So we're kind of in a diagonal way, and we're gonna tie it. I like to tie it on the 3rd rail instead of on the 4, so my mesh doesn't go down too much. Repeat again, and remember these are 6. So through the 3rd, down under the 4, on opposite sides of the rail or the brackets. And that's how we put our pipe cleaners, or at least that's how I put my pipe cleaners. There's a lot of wreath makers, they do it differently. This one is one of the most common ways of doing it. There's some wreathers that do a lot more pipe cleaners. Others do less. Okay, so we have our 12 pipe cleaners in, okay?